A quick update on, y'all were here for vehicles for hire. The process is actually working very, very smoothly. The challenge is that these are contentious issues and we're not going to achieve consensus. They're just going to be up and down votes on a lot of things that the various parties will never agree upon. So we are, we've moved everything to next week. There was an expression by certain council members of the desire to get it done. I certainly concur with that, although as we've said all along, we'd rather get it right than get it fast. And this is an area of ordinance making that it's out there on the cutting edge. It is clear that the future of vehicles for hire is going to be app-based, that smartphones are going to drive a lot of this, technology is going to drive a lot of this, and the way we regulate the cab industry is last century technology and it's being confronted with new century technology. However, we want to make sure that we transition into the future and this industry into the future in a way that is fair and rational. And I don't know any place in the country and actually around the world, because these conversations are happening around the world, where it has been a quick and easy process. But I can at least say that here in the city of Houston, it's been a fair process, and we've been dealing with it systematically. But I'm happy to answer any questions about that. And then finally, I'm really glad that we have moved forward with the final approvals for the overpass, the so-called Harrisburger overpass, and trust that Metro will come up with some good plans to provide that needed grade separation for the area, but also do it in a way that, as much as an overpass can be something that is not, wouldn't say an overpass is an amenity for the neighborhood, but in a way that's not overly intrusive to the area and provides some positive benefits. So what do you have?
Mayor, what about the golf courses with Gus Wortham and Glenbrook? It looks like right now we're going to the city would lose one golf course perhaps.
Okay. We have one of the most golf course saturated cities in the United States. We have a tremendous number of private courses as well as some first-class public courses. Both the two golf courses in question, Gus Wortham and Glenbrook, although some of our other public courses as well, are severely underutilized and need a major overhaul. So they're not generating a lot of rounds as golf courses. What is the highest and best use for that green space? We are very clear that we don't want to lose green space, particularly in the inner city. And in fact, we have golf courses across the United States are struggling. The overall rounds of golf has gone down steadily over the last few years. And several private golf courses have come onto the market, and for example, the city of Houston bought Inwood Golf Course to turn it into green space and detention. The city of Houston bought, or the Clear Lake Water Authority, I believe, bought the Clear Lake Golf Course for the same purpose. So what is the highest and best use for these underutilized golf courses? Right now, after months of careful discussion and negotiations, we are close to a plan that will restore Gus Wortham to its former glory as a historic golf course, I believe the oldest public golf course in Texas, and potentially turn Glenbrook Golf Course into a first-class botanic garden, although that is a longer-term redevelopment project. This allows us to utilize both of these green spaces in a way that benefits the community. The key to getting to this point was having an entity that wanted to step into the golf course that was actually willing to sign a contract and put some skin in the game. The Botanic Garden Foundation has been around for a while. They have been aggressively looking for the right location, but those who are proponents of the golf course, a lot of well-intentioned folks who care about Gus Wortham, but not a real entity with which to negotiate. So now we have Houston Golf Association having stepped up. We think we have a viable plan for Gus Wortham as a golf course and a viable plan for Glenbrook as a botanic garden. Andy Icken, the Chief Development Officer for the city, and I were actually out on Christmas Eve this year walking. We went out to Glenbrook and walked it and kind of laid out in our minds because that it could be a botanic garden, because at that time we had the golf course folks and the botanic garden folks both dug in and both wanting Gus Wortham. This is an opportunity to better develop two underutilized assets for the city of Houston, but keeping them always in public hands going forward.
Would the Arboretum developer be satisfied with Glenbrook?
With the no, Botanic Garden developer. We actually have an Arboretum. This is a nonprofit organization with a lot of passionate philanthropic board members, and I agree with them. Gus Wortham would be a better site for a Botanic Garden because it will be on the light rail line. But this is not about what is best for the Botanic Garden Foundation. This is about what is best for the entire city of Houston. We believe we have crafted an agreement that gives us two really fine organizations, or gives two really fine venues and amenities for the city. And having sat with the Botanic Garden Foundation and examined sites all across the city of Houston, I understand why they'd rather have Gus Wortham, but Glenbrook will be an outstanding site as well. And if Gus Wortham had never been in anyone's crosshairs, I think we'd be very happy to be talking about Glenbrook as a botanic garden.
Mayor, on another matter, today you did a little bit of advanced planning for the Super Bowl. I'm talking about the LGC that was set up out in that part of town. Can you talk a little bit about what's the intent of that?
This is just an entity that it's designed to provide capital improvement dollars in the area around NRG Stadium. It's actually not a LGC that was generated at the request of the city. It was actually at the request of Harris County. And as NRG Stadium, that whole complex out there is a Harris County facility. It is their intention to focus dollars and to beautify the area in advance of the Super Bowl, but that means that area will be enhanced going forward. So we were happy to work with them on this.
Mayor, do you have any comment about the possibility to increase the city workers' health care?
We have not proposed any changes to health benefits for our employees. What we did is that we have, as we've been stating for months now, we have a budget deficit for next year that's going to be pretty significant, and on the order of $140 million, and caused by a number of factors. And we are laying out different things that we could do to address that budget deficit. Some of the things we proposed, some of the things we laid out for council, we do not intend to propose. For example, we could issue pension obligation bonds to pay down some of the hikes in our pension payment is supposed to go up $50 million next year. We could take out a pension obligation bond to pay for that. I'm not going to propose that. I would vote against that. But it is our responsibility to let council members know all the things they could do. One of the things they could do, and depending on how much cost sharing they're willing to do, is pass on more of our premiums to our employees. Again, we weren't proposing that. We were just saying, council members, here's a dozen things you can do to solve this budget problem. We'd like your input on it. But if council members don't weigh in, then we'll come back with our own proposal, because that's my responsibility.
Which are the others? The other significant proposed?
A lot of conversations about whether the city of Houston ought to have a garbage fee. We are the only major metropolitan area. It's like zoning. It's like all these other things. The only major metropolitan area. We were the only major metropolitan area without a drainage fee. We're also the major metropolitan area without a garbage fee. That is a viable proposal where what we do is we create what is called an enterprise fund. its own business operation and sell the assets to the solid waste enterprise fund and allow them to be self-sustaining with whatever garbage fee is necessary to support the recycling and the trash pickup and so forth. As I said, pension obligation bonds are out there. Cost shifting on health benefits. There's the only other really option for tens of millions of dollars of saving would be to, and our new revenue would be to continue, it would be to quit providing a certain service or program because cities are service organizations. Most of our costs are in personnel, and we're open-minded about what might be what council considers a non-core service to offload, but we're still waiting for input from council.
When the council needs to make a decision this night?
Before we pass the budget a year from now, and so we're starting early to make sure that we're just going to keep laying out all the options and see if we can get council members to zero in on one of them.
Mayor, you talk about services. Are there? No mayor likes to talk about cutting services, but what's on your mind? I know this is just speculation.
Okay, issues that have come up over and over again. There's no, you've heard that phrase, there's nothing new under the sun. Cities look at each other and we borrow from each other. So we are one of the few major cities in America that still responds to vehicle accidents where both cars are drivable. We discourage you from calling us, but we will still come out and we can discontinue that. It's not a direct savings. It does have some savings, but it allows our police officers to stay in the call for service loop longer. A lot of cities have said that they will no longer respond to silent burglar and fire alarm calls. You contract with a fire alarm company, if 98% of the alarms are false alarms. I mean, we have fees for false alarms, but again, it's a lot of wear and tear on personnel. Maybe we stop responding to those. So those are easy service cuts. Harder service cuts, and again, I'm not proposing any of these things or service changes. Maybe we civilianize some of our first responder work. But ultimately, the big dollars, as I said, you're going to have to stop doing something.
Mike has one, I'm not sure you can answer it.
So on housing, the Ike Round 2 money is getting ready to be spent both in the single family.
Don't you think it's about darn time? That wasn't the word I was going to use, but it's about time.
So on the single family and multifamily, that work is about to get underway with that money. And I wanted to get your sense of, is my understanding the two processes with the first round of money and this process with the second round of money have been pretty different. Inviting people in to design their homes, that sort of thing, with the second round. And also there's been this MOU between a community and a developer doing a multifamily project. Just wanted to get your sense of kind of where that program is today and your take on how it's proceeding.
Ike recovery funding should have happened a long time ago, and it has been a frustrating and in fact infuriating process that largely delays at the state level have held up this money that people desperately need. That said, they're fundamentally different process with Ike Round 1 and Ike Round 2. Ike Round 1 happened largely before I came into office, and it very much was a top-down, this is what we're going to do program. We have approached it from a completely different angle, but there was a reason that we approached it from a different angle. The big reason was that I didn't want to just take the money and spread it all over the city. I wanted to try to leverage the other dollars that we were spending in certain neighborhoods that don't have high impact. And so we wanted to hone in on target areas, do a better job with our dollars. That necessitated a lot of conversations with the community and community buy-in, and I'm proud to say that we were able to achieve that. We have target areas where we're spending the dollars. We have clear process that everybody understands about who qualifies for the dollars. And we're putting a whole lot more money into single-family home development than into multifamily. And the bulk of the money the first time went to multifamily. So in a lot of ways it was different, and we just needed to do it in a different way.
Mayor, if I could follow.
On the multifamily, sorry, just one quick, on the multifamily side, the MOU that a community organizing group is put the community together to negotiate with the developer of that project. I don't know to what extent you're familiar with that.
I am not familiar with the exact MOU you're talking about.
Okay.
Although I would say that the impediment to getting this project moving forward was there's a community organization that intervened at the state level and has been dragging this out. Meanwhile, people's houses rot around them. We're an organization that purports to be in support of poor people. It is very frustrating to see that process happen.
Mayor, understanding that, if I could back up for a moment ago, you were talking about what the possibilities might be. And again, I understand this is nothing you're proposing, but you mentioned civilianizing some first responders. What did you mean by that?
Paramedic response, for example. Again, y'all are gonna record this, and you're gonna say, "Mayor proposes." We're not proposing anything. We're laying out. I want council members to know all the things they can do and shake them out. But I'm not interested in privatizing ambulance response, and I've been real clear about this. Never said that, but maybe there are things that we should be civilianizing. What happened in the economic downturn, we laid off a lot of civilian employees, and we actually went the reverse of civilianizing. We put a lot of uniformed personnel into desk jobs because we had to fill them, and we laid off the civilians. There's a reverse process there. That doesn't necessarily save money unless we can figure out a new way of operating. And so one of the things I'm doing is a work demands analysis in the fire department to say, you know, where should we better deploy our personnel? And maybe they'll say it's time to civilianize some of the aspects of what we do over there.
And we're talking about desk jobs. We're not talking about having civilians actually respond to. Okay.
Mayor, just one last comment about the lawsuit, the 5 million lawsuit.
And what about it?
Yeah, just if you can comment about it.
Today we voted on a settlement for a lawsuit that occurred in a horrific crash caused by criminals fleeing from the police, and innocent civilians were hurt in that crash. We recognize that through no fault of their own, these people were caught up in a police chase and permanently injured, and we have come to an agreed settlement to allow those families to move forward. And while we regret the injuries, we hope this allows them to live better lives.